All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the episode 5 of season 4 of HSM Talks. My name is Abhishek Gupta, and I'm the founder and CEO of what today possibly is Asia's biggest parent, student, and educator community, High School Moms and International Alliance of Counselors and Educators. Now, every season we have been trying to talk to you, and we have been trying to tell you all the nitty-gritties required for you to be able to possibly counsel your own child well, because we at High School Moms strongly believe that if you educate a parent, you will be able to educate the entire family and maybe generations to come. In this season, we have had the privilege and the honor of possibly hosting the finest of the school counselors from around the country. We have talked about UK education, we have talked about profile building, we have talked about scholarships, we have talked about Common App, we have talked about how to fill the OUAC. And today, in this very season, we will have somebody who is known in the school counselor fraternity. Rather, I should say, very well known in the school counselor fraternity. She is one of the most respected school counselors in the country today. And I can tell you that if you listen to her carefully, there'll be things and instances and experiences that she will be able to share with you all, uh, which can go a long way in possibly helping your child. Today, on this episode, I am joined by the head of Career Cell at the Sanskar Valley School, Bhopal. She is an experienced counselor with over 11 phenomenal years of experience in the field of education, training, counseling. She has counseled over 3,000 students from different curriculum, whether national or international curriculum. She has helped them find their true calling, placed them in the best of the universities, and not just placed them, but possibly placed them with scholarships. Uh, she has been awarded with one of the finest awards in the education sector today as an Emerging Counselor Award in India uh, in the year of 2020. A very well networked professional, a member of International ICAC, and a certified international career coach by none other than NCDA, National Career Development Association, USA. Without taking much time, let me bring on the screen one of the finest and most respected school counselors in the country, Khushbu Taparia Bedi. Hi, Khushbu, how are you doing?
Hi, Abhishek. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, Khushbu. And it's a pleasure to have you on the season 4, episode number 5 of HSM Talks. Khushbu, uh, throughout last almost 3.5 years since we started, we have done over 1,000 lives. And in every single live, I must say that not only parents and students learn, but I also get to learn a lot from experiences of various counselors. So thank you so much for taking this opportunity, and that to add such a ungodly hour. But unfortunately or fortunately, we are known to disturb the sleep pattern of the parents in the country. Uh, Kuju, I have known you for quite some time right now, and while I was looking at your bio at the brief, I understood that you have this great affinity to the Japanese concept called ikigai. Now, we all know that it's ikigai as a book is possibly one of the best sellers in recent years. It can help you with experimenting, dabbling of sorts with hobbies, crafts, careers, even life, for that matter. It's a great philosophy in itself. Uh, Take us through your association with this concept. How did you own it up? What makes you feel that this is the concept which can possibly help even children, or not only just children, even the parents, to guide their
Sure.
children? So take us through that.
Yeah, sure, Abhishek. So I really read the book and I just thought to myself that how is it that we can integrate this concept and how can this Ikigai concept help my students and help me help my students in the career counseling practices. And so, whenever I sit with my students and parents, and I know they come with so many questions, dilemmas. They are all very, I don't want to say lost, but I think very curious to explore. And this is really my anchor, when I just discuss this concept with parents, I think it relieves them and gives them some hope. So here what I want to do for our parents and students is just to share very briefly how this works. So if we just think of four things, two internalized and two externalized. So the first two questions you need to ask yourself is, what is it that you love to do? What is something that you are good at? What the world needs and what the world is willing to pay you for. So the intersection of these four questions is actually every individual's ikigai. But here, I just want to share one example. So there was one student of mine, Abhishek. She was a very bright kid and loved studying bio. She had parents who were doctors, and they have the entire setup of hospital. And she was like, "I'm all set. The stage is set for me. I just need to finish my dentistry, and then I'm all good to go." So she went ahead and did that. So if you talk about her ikigai, she loved doing that. She was good at it. The world actually needs dentists, and we pay for it. However, what happened on the first day of her interning, with the dentist, was that she felt that, oh my God, I mean, this is just too claustrophobic to dig into people's mouth. And she just felt that I don't want to, lose out my life just by one wrong decision. So, what I want to tell the parents here and students is that Ikigai is a great concept, but I have added my own thing to this with my experience, with students, that Ikigai plus shadowing or interning is a mandate. Just don't rely on Ikigai completely, but do experiment it. Because with this kid, what happened, Abhishek, was she loved bio, but she didn't know whether she would love the profession of being a dentist. So there's a gap there, right? So that's the reason it's very important that our parents and students experiment with ikigai, but with some mindfulness.
So parents and students should experiment with Ikigai, but with some mindfulness, and that's a strong statement coming very first 5 minutes in the conversation. Kujul, let me tell you that I'm a big fan of experimenting and exploring myself, reinventing as a concept, and because of that reason, uh, we at High School Moms started this entire concept of doing research-based internships so that you can at least go ahead and figure out what does that subject mean at the university level. So by bringing in the university faculty, and it was so welcomed well by the parents and the students, because there were no concept of a university level faculty teaching from abroad to the students in India. B, definitely there were, if there were, they were too expensive, and we made it absolutely free. And but what in return it did was, it gave students an opportunity to explore the subject at the university level and not jump into it by just intuition. So I have had cases where kids have come back and said, after doing our psychology and mental health internship, that hey, I found my calling. But I have also had cases where kids have come back after doing the same internship and said, I thought psychology is my calling, but it is not anymore. And I feel that in both the cases, we have been able to help the student take a informed decision instead of just an intuitive decision. So I so agree with you. But Khushbu, you carry phenomenal years of experience. Possibly one of those counselors where I really look up to. I listen to your lives. I listen to your conversations whenever I could find them on the social media. And my question is: both of us are in the same fraternity, but each one of us has a different flair or a way to support our students, right? What are the different ways, according to you, by which you support your students, and it can be a good learning for me as a counselor. It could be good learning for all the mothers who's supposed to be the first counselor every kid has ever got, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question, Abhishek. And I think it takes a lot of experience, a lot of case studies to really answer that question. So, whatever little experience I have, I just want to share out of that. And of course, I've made some mistakes too, but I've learned from them at the same time. So, um, I really am a huge advocate of letting students live with questions and dilemmas. So, like you said, you help students with your research internships to funnel things down, right? So, I think it's a win win. Either the child says that, hey, my eureka moment, that I found what I wanted to do and that's my true calling. That's one. But I find this is also success and victory when the child is able to say, out of 250 career options in India, this one is definitely not for me. I think that's also equally a victory for us. So that's great what you're doing. Now, I just want to again share one little story. This is real. Just 10 days back, one of my students walked up to me and said she was all very intense, confused, and heavy hearted. And she said, you know what, ma'am? A lot of my friends, on the looks of it, they just know what they want to do in their careers. But I don't know. I think I'm lost. And I always tell these lost kids that you're not lost, you're just curious, because you first of all do not know, you're oblivious of the options, career options and subject options that you have, because you've not got the privilege to study all the subjects. For example, you spoke about psychology. How many students really study psychology at school level and they decide that they want to do psychology? So I think these kids are more of that, exploratory kinds who want to explore. And so this child, she was trying to push herself to believe that the best of the subjects, whatever she's studying, I think I am okay with economics. So she started that make believe thing that I love economics. And sitting face to face with me, she said, ma'am, I don't. I'm just faking it because of the peer pressure, parental pressure, self benchmark pressure, teacher pressure, society pressure. And that's where a career counselor has to play a role. When you just handhold that child and you just give that comfort, that courage, and that inspiration, sharing those inspiring stories. Even myself, I think I was a lost kid. I didn't know for many years what I really wanted to do. I think career counseling was not even a profession then, right? We all came out from schools without having met any career counselor. So, like that, I really gave a lot of confidence to these kids that it's okay to live in dilemmas, but I'm there with you. I have your back. So don't worry. We will really explore, and what exploration, like Abhishek, you said, is definitely shadowing, interning, and taking up any extra courses, research programs, anything, whatever helps you explore, connecting to alumni, doing a project on a particular career that you think is intriguing you. And all of this actually helps you really understand, maybe later, maybe not very sooner, but at least it's a more informed and educated decision, like you just mentioned. So this is one. And the second thing is that I think 20% of our students are academically gifted, and India is big on academically gifted kids, but I'm not. I'm really big on those 80% kids who are differently gifted, I would say. And I love to work with them because they come with that feeling that I really want to explore. I don't want to settle for something very traditional. They are ready to take challenges, risks, walk the paths which are not really walked before. And so I really love to work with them. And to the parents and students who feel you are in that 80% category, please reach out to career counselors. You know what? There are so many universities who are not looking at that top 5%. They are more inclusive, they're more research based. They give you that time, that pace that your child wants. And it's really out there. It's just that you are oblivious, you're not aware of those options. So I think these are the two things that I'm really big on, Abhishek.
Be in the dilemma, there is no problem, and look beyond the obvious. Don't be oblivious to the things which are available, and that's I must say that in the first 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, uncles and aunts, dadus and dadis, chachus and chachis, whoever is listening to us, uh, this been a learning experience for your career counselor here sitting from another very respected career counselor the world looks up to, Khushbu Taparia Bedi, uh, head of career counseling cell at Sanskar Valley School, Bhopal. Khushbu, let me tell you, and I so resonate with you. I cannot tell you, I mean, I cannot resonate more. A couple of things that people need to understand. I'll give you my story. A science student shifted to commerce, went all the way to BCom honors, and then management at UCLA, and today in and then joined the corporate world in pure sales, and now completely in a career which is humanities, right? So for me, I think the best profession was this, because I was so confused myself that I can understand and empathize with the confusion of others. Having said that, it is so important, parents, for you to understand that career decisions are beyond what can your child do after commerce with maths, or what can your child not do commerce without maths. uh, Also, please understand, and this is where I'm picking up what Khushbu said, because it was so important, is that internship experiences, getting a deep dive into the program, getting a deep dive, or taking a shadowing job with a professional can really help you. Just because your child ended up scoring well in sciences in grade 10 does not mean that your child is a science student. That's number one. Just because the child ended up, I mean, poor kid ended up saying that, Mom, I love biology. And the mom and the dad and the entire family thought that you are supposed to just be a doctor. Uh, Please appreciate that studying one subject in grade 10 uh, out of 5 versus studying that subject throughout life, these are two different things altogether. Like playing video games and making video games are two different things altogether. Same is the concept here. And Kushbu, thank you so much for sharing that piece. Let me come to this. There's this gray area. Okay, all us counselors are are going out there on the social media, on the virtual world, in the in-person sessions. We use one term, and we use it quite often nowadays, called profile. And it's like that, this gray word which you understand but you don't understand. And and the best part is that we end up saying that profile is important to get into the best of Indian universities today. It is important to get into the best of international universities today. For that matter, even if your child is looking at IFS, or a CDS or an NDA, a profile will be asked about. um, we also end up going and saying that profile is important to build your character, because it will create or develop skills which possibly cannot be developed within the four walls of the classroom. Now, all this sounds so cool, and you want to build your profile. And the question comes is, how do I build it? Right? You've said it, but how do I build it? So, my next question to you is, you've counseled over 3,000 students. Can you share some real out of the box, profile building initiatives uh, with all the students and the parents and whoever is watching us right now? Some real out of the box profile building, activities or initiatives.
Yeah, sure. So, with profile building, I think there are two things, two ways of looking at it. One is for students to explore something that they haven't been exposed to. That's one. And the second thing is doing what they love to do. Just deep diving into some passions. And when we say that, apart from sleeping, eating, studying, what is it, the the fourth hour, if you have, what would you like to spend that on? Or the weekends, what do you spend your weekends doing? And that really defines the individual, right? So I think it's very important for me that I don't believe in pushing kids to doing a lot of profile building just for the sake of university applications. That's one. Now, how I approach this is, of course, as a school, as a career cell, you know what all I keep experimenting. So, of course, there's, university connects and alumni connects and parent internships. And we try to create as many opportunities as we can. But at a personal level, when I meet kids, I really love to connect their passion to their profile building activities. So, for example, I'll just say that, there was one girl. She came to me, ma'am, I just want to build my profile for applications, but I just don't know what to do. So, I spoke about all the traditional options that we all know and we, advocate. But she said, no, none of this interests me, and I don't want to waste my summer doing any of this. And so I said, what do you like to do? And she said, I love to read. So I said, fine, then just read 50 books. And she ended up reading 100 books in that summer. And how beautifully, we planned her summer that she goes out to write her blogs, book reviews, vlogs, and also taking some parental sessions on book reviews, some student clubs on books, and so much she could do just exploring her passion. And no frills, okay, no money, nothing. And she just enjoyed that experience. And not just that, but I think she also enriched herself by reading so much. So, like this, there are many examples, Abhishek. For example, there was one kid talking about adventure, and then that kid has done from ninth to the 12th, he has regularly been doing base camps and treks. Then the other child is now a scuba diver, one is a skydiver. And I mean, I just love to see that. Okay, some kid comes and I love traveling. I said, just go travel, write some blogs around it, put some Insta pics of the travel that you do, just explore some ethnicity, culture, whatever, interactions you have with the locals. I think all this is so beautiful and so enriching, and really, it's a wholesome experience for the kid as well. So, like this, I've many examples like gastronomy trips my children have done. Some have done some doodle walls all summers. And so, yeah, this is pretty interesting how we link these passions into profile building and not thinking of the traditional way of profile building. But one thing that I want to say here to all the parents and students is, go explore, do all of this. But one thing very important that you'll agree with me, Abhishek, is that we need to be consistent. Whatever, if it is reading, then from ninth to the 12th, every year, there has to be a tick that, yes, I am a reader. And that really goes down well even with applications. So, having said that, go explore your passion, fine, but then also be mindful and plan yourself well that you hit the applications also with whatever time you're investing. So I think this is one thing. The other tip that I want to end this topic with is, so when we do common app international applications for the USA, and there's a column called activities. So I really feel that a lot of students, what mistake that they make is they make one heading as public speaking, the other as debate, third as MUN. But if we can cleverly just combine all of this into one heading, public speaking, and just put ninth grade debating, 10th grade MUNs, 11th, 12th mentors for MUNs, or whatever. So, in one category, you hit all of this. So just plan your activities a little well.
Plan your activities, club it well, and if I put it simply, what Khushbu said here is keep it simple. It does not need to be complicated. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms and dads, uncles and aunts, chachus and chachis, dadus and dadis, whoever is listening, whoever is responsible for taking that collective decision for a child's career and profile. This is very interesting. What has come out of this conversation, uh, and what has come out of the years of experience that Khushbu carries, is keep it simple. You do not have to go out there and find out complex profile building activities. You do not have to go out there and spend thousands of dollars to do research and internships. It is not about showing that we are God's gift to mankind. It is about showing the real you. And if it is about showing the real you, your own passion can lead you to a great profile building activity. And that's the essence of what Khushbu said. And how beautifully she said that if you love reading, just continue reading. Rather, With reading, let me give you a piece of advice, and most of the parents would agree with me that kids today do not have the habit of reading. Now, if they do not have the habit of reading, you cannot push them to read a thick book. So, what you can possibly start with is an app that I use, and it's called Blinkist. It's a beautiful app. Each book has been summarized into blinks, and no book is more than 10 blinks. And a blink mean that how much can you read before blinking an eye. So, so imagine that you can actually finish a book in about 8 to 10 minutes with the 10 or 12 blinks. And if a kid is able to maintain that attention span for 10 minutes, that's good enough as a starting point. So possibly you can look at downloading an app called Blinkist. But this is beautiful. Keep it simple. That's what Khushbu said. um, Connect your passion, whether it's travel, reading, cooking, baking, whatever it is, connect it, and then curate content around it, and that becomes your profile. So you can write blogs, you can make vlogs, you can make an Instagram handle. That's what she said. You can do some, if reading is your passion, you can do some the book reviews. You can write your own views and opinions around the book. All of that would get counted in your profile, and you do not look at making it complicated. Keep it simple. Oh God, Khushbu, I'm just loving this. This is phenomenal. I cannot tell you the amount of things I have been able to learn as a counselor is uh, is beyond explanation right now, and I'm so blessed for this conversation. But since people are watching us on their mobile like this, and we have to be mindful of the time, and we have to also be mindful of your time. It's a working day tomorrow, and we definitely do not want to hold you back. So, one last question. There's this concept called green counseling, right? And the impact it can have on students, their journeys, um, especially if we involved United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, right? Now, let's accept that there is too much happening around UN SDGs, um, but whatever is happening is still so little. In the world we live in, we have to continuously keep on supporting UN SDGs one way or the other. And what better than supporting by involving the young generation and the kids to get their hands inside it and make it popular, not support it from the outside on an intellectual level, but support it on the execution level, right? But we'll talk, I mean, that's a discussion for some other day. But today, let us understand a little bit about green counseling and the impact on students and UN SDGs.
Yeah. So, you know that this is very close to my heart, and SDG is something that I resonate with. So, Abhishek, it just started that I attended a session of some other counselors, and they were discussing about SDGs maybe a year back. And, I just came back and I was living with those questions and discussions for 1 year. And I just kept thinking to myself that what is it as a career counselor that we can do to support SDGs? So, for everyone here, I don't know if everyone knows it. Let's just explain it to them in 1 second, like 5 seconds. So, SDG are the 17 goals that the United Nations has set for all of us, anyone who's living on Earth, to really make this planet a better place by 2030. So, it starts from poverty, hunger, good health, education, inequalities, partnership for goals, and so many of them. So here, what we are observing is I use the term career quakes. Like earthquakes, there are career quakes. And a lot of traditional careers are now actually being shattered and questioned. And the same ways, Abhishek, I think even our career counseling approaches and strategies are being questioned. Are we really doing justice to these young minds? And so, the green guidance or green counseling, that's the new approach to career counseling. As parents, students, counselors, this is a three-way handshake. We just need to understand that Gen Z, Generation Z, I think they are more socially conscious and they want to do good to the planet.
Absolutely.
I don't
Absolutely.
say, yeah, absolutely. And I don't say that every child has to become a an environmentalist or an activist. I don't say that. But even in the most traditional careers, we as counselors or as parents, we all have a role to play to connect these dots. Help the students connect their individual career aspirations to collective global goals. So I just want to explain all of this with just some examples. I think that's the best understood, right? So I have some students again, those stories don't end. So one student who studied textile technology from IIT, a very traditional program, but while he was in Delhi, he realized, oh my God, the pollution levels are so high that I just can't go take a corporate job and be happy with the bucks that I get. And he decided to become a social entrepreneur. And now the work that he does is convert waste to wealth. Okay. And he is actually creating sustainable cutlery. And he's doing very well for himself. The second example is of a student who went to Yale to study fashion. And again, she bumped into sustainable stuff. And right now, Abhishek, she's doing sustainable clothing and doing phenomenally well for herself. The third case, just last year, a student, he went to UCSD, and he's studying a direct program, which is renewable energy and environmental flow. So there are different ways of we as counselors educating our students. One is students who are naturally inclined towards supporting the planet and they can think beyond themselves. So they can actually pick up these programs. And some students, they can even go up to doing a traditional degree but connect that to the SDG goals eventually in their career. So, one very quick tip that I want to give here to parents and students, what I do is um, we just sit down, like companies write their own mission statement. I think I encourage students to write their personal mission statements, not a mission statement with a short term goal of I want to study this undergrad and this postgrad, but what they really want to do in life. And many a times these discussions and these exercises help the child understand that which cause the child resonates with, and they are able to connect their personal goals to the collective goals. And believe me, there are going to be careers very soon that we'll all be talking about, perhaps another session with Abhishek, and we're talking about recycling coordinator and energy manager and carbon trader and sustainable engineer. And not just
Mm,
that, but even some students were talking about green fashion designers and green hairdressers. So it's going to
not
be
just
all over
that,
the place.
I'll give you another one. There's going to be a career which is called space junk retriever.
Absolutely.
We're talking about junk on Earth. We are also looking at if things do not go right, very soon, in just about 50 100 years, Earth will have a ring like Saturn made of man-made satellites and the space junk. So amazing careers. Yes, please go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you short there. Yeah.
No, no, that's it. That's it. So I just love to work with students, help them think beyond themselves, help them connect with a cause. And I have got some students who lived up to my dreams.
Wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me tell you one thing. This is an interesting discussion, and it can go on for hours. But this concept of green counseling, which is relatively new for me, and I must say that there was a lot that I could learn today from Khushbu. Uh, Today, when we talk to our kids, we say that you need to find a career which is successful, which can give you money, which can give you a very high standards of living, which is not wrong in a way, as long as we pay our taxes well and contribute back to the society. Because being a responsible citizen, global citizen, means that you should be able to pay your taxes well, so that they can be used for the betterment of the people who are not so privileged. Having said that, we often feel that if we get into something which is more environmentally friendly, sustainable, and more towards a career which can possibly better the world, not worsen it, it would not be lucrative. Gone are those days. Get the reality right. Today, these careers can be as lucrative, as satisfying as any other traditional career. And like Khushbu said, and Khushbu, I so agree with you that the Gen Z is far more responsible than we were. I mean, I do not mind acknowledging and apologizing for the fact that when I was a kid, I used to burn crackers, but my son doesn't. I don't mind accepting that when I was a kid, I used to waste paper. My son doesn't. So, and not only this, it's also on the human front. I possibly, when I was growing up, I was not so open and accepting towards LGBTQ, which I see today Gen Z is. So these people are far more receptive, accepting, more socially conscious, thanks to the counselors and the educators in the school who are making them socially responsible. But uh, but yeah, green counseling, great concept, Khushbu. Thank you so much for teaching me. Thank you so much for teaching the audience. Thank you for explaining so beautifully that profile building does not need to be complex. It can be just a byproduct of your own passions and what you love to do. Thank you for explaining how world can be made a better place uh, with the help of choosing careers the right way. Thank you for explaining different ways of supporting the students. It's been a wonderful conversation all throughout. I'll just ask you to stay back for just a couple of more minutes, and let me just say goodbye to all my audience. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, we had Khushbu Taparia Bedi, the head of Career Cell at one of the finest schools in the country, the Sanskar Valley School, Bhopal. Khushbu carries 11 phenomenal years of experience in teaching, counseling, training, guiding students to find their true calling and to place them in the best of the universities. And when I say best of the universities, I do not mean Ivy Leagues. Rather, when I say best of the universities, what I mean is the universities which are right for you, which are the right fitment. And maybe we will have Khushbu some other day again to talk about the right fitting universities so that you understand that life is beyond just the Ivies, and Ivies are not the end of the world. Anyways, so Khushbu, thank you. We are delighted to have you and hosted you on HSM Talks. And we really look forward to host you sometime again soon with another topic, sharing your experiences, phenomenal experiences, and making a learning and a takeaway out of it. Thank you so much for joining in. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, please take care of yourself. Have a good night's sleep. Make your child get up tomorrow. And one thing that you need to make your child learn is how to make his or her own bed. Because believe you me, that's where it starts from. And that's where the difference starts happening. Good night. Take care. God bless.